Hey everybody, welcome back to the Going for Two podcast. As usual, Alec, Taylor. Just 2 days ago we were talking. Quick turnaround this time.
Hey man, we gotta get those podcasts in. Plus, like I said, we live some busy lives for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. This isn't our full time job, though we would love it if it was.
Right? No shit.
Um, but we have other things we have to do, but we want to get this stuff out. And we want to talk sports with each other because it's a hobby we like to share. Today we're going to try and not talk college football. We've done it on pretty much every episode, other than I think the fantasy football episode that Taylor wasn't even on.
I know I dropped the ball, guys. I apologize.
So we may sprinkle a little bit in there, but we're not gonna. It's not gonna be all college football. We're
I
gonna talk
don't,
about
like
a
to
couple
be
different
fair,
sports.
we're not talking about college football. We'll talk about that after this week when we see some of these games. Like we're not talking about this time.
All right. I want to start with the most recent news, and by recent I mean like within the hour. Michael Penix Jr. has been named the starter going forward in Atlanta. Your first thoughts?
It's crazy because they're not out of contention. Like
Right.
they still have a chance to win that division. So I just don't understand like what happened with Cousins, what changed for us to make this big decision to move towards the Rook.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't see the what I think we looked it up right before we started. It was they're 7-7, right? And the
They're
Bucks
seven
are
and
ahead of
seven, and
them
Tampa's 8-6.
eight and
So
six.
it's like the
So they're right there.
division's still wide open.
Yeah, and it's not a stacked division. Like the Saints are pretty much they're out of it, and the Panthers have been out of it since before the season started.
I mean, you're
I'm just
not
being
wrong.
realistic here. Sorry, Panthers fans. It is what it is. But yeah, I don't. My biggest thing is like you guys paid him $100 million guaranteed,
Right.
and now you're just going to pay him to hopefully coach up Michael Penix.
Right. I
That's
mean,
pretty expensive for a coach. He's now the most highest paid coach in the NFL, probably.
I mean, 50 million a year.
I think it was a 4 year deal, so it's
Yeah.
25 a year, or
Who
is it
cares?
two? Either way, he's very his contract is very lucrative for him to be a backup quarterback, which is why
Well,
when
and
they
that's where this is interesting because you come off of. I can see that the 4 games before the Raiders game, you're on a 4 game skid. You win against the Raiders. It's not like you have a terribly hard schedule left. You've got the Giants, Commanders, and the Panthers.
I mean that's
I
two
mean,
that should be 2 wins out of 3 almost guaranteed.
exactly. It should be a 2-1, and I mean, it. Who knows? Maybe you play the Commanders well. You sneak out with it. You finish the
They're a
season.
beatable team.
I mean, clearly the Cowboys did it 3 weeks ago,
Right, they're a
4 weeks
beatable
ago.
team, and the Falcons have weapons. London has stepped up this year. Darnell Mooney's
Bijan's
had
looked
a
good.
year. Bijan and Algier both having great years. I don't understand this move. I don't know if it's hey, let's see what we have, and if we win, great. But like, it makes no sense given the contract that they gave him.
Right.
Like I would have been more. It would have made more sense if they gave him like a 1 or 2 year deal with the same guaranteed money. But I'm almost positive they gave him a
I'm
4
pulling
year
it right now.
contract.
Yeah, 4 years, $180 million, and you're going to pull him first year.
And was that fully guaranteed?
100 million guaranteed.
100 million guaranteed. Still a lot of money guaranteed.
Yeah.
So to do this year one just doesn't make sense. And like you said, they're in contention. Why would you take your veteran quarterback out who has just he hasn't even played bad? Like I don't know what Kirk's stats is off the top of my head, but I wouldn't say that Kirk has done bad.
I mean, he's 3,500 yards. He's 18 TDs, 16 interceptions. I mean, I don't like that.
He had 4 interceptions against the Chargers a few weeks ago. He hasn't he hasn't had over 100 QBR since November 3rd against the Cowboys. So he hasn't played great this year rating wise. Turned the ball over quite a bit, but I mean he's done that.
But I also don't like the fact that he's been sacked 28 times.
Yeah,
That's nothing he has any control over.
Yeah,
By fault, that offensive line can't protect him.
Yeah, I agree.
And if you're getting the shithead out of you all game, you're going to throw more interceptions.
Yeah, because you're going to want to get the ball out faster.
Right, and you're going to make the questionable calls.
You're going to make questionable decisions. Yeah, I agree. I don't see the ups. I mean, I guess the upside is you have, because I mean, Penix is a good quarterback. He has a cannon of an arm. I
thought it was a questionable draft choice to start with.
I thought it was questionable just for
where he went,
where he was selected at 8.
Yeah.
I thought that was way too early for Michael Penix. I had a second round grade on him, but I would have questioned
late
it.
First round if you're really interested in him. You pop back into the first round. You pop into one of those teams that wants to trade down, and you pick him up. But I wouldn't have taken him at 8.
Yeah,
What's he, 25?
I was stunned when that was the case too, and the landing spot of Atlanta after giving Kirk $100 million also made no sense. He's also older than any other rookie quarterback.
He's older than some of the QBs that have been in the league for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, what is he?
24.
He's 24. It's not like super old.
He'll be 25 this year.
Yeah, it's just the questions keep adding up. And
I agree. It's not anything I think I would have seen. I could have seen this like maybe next year after he sat a full year or something like that. I also thought that when Atlanta signed that 4-year with Kirk, I thought it was questionable at best because you're coming off of an Achilles injury. I probably somewhere felt more comfortable with like a 2-year, like we were talking just a minute ago. But like I said, 4 years is just a lot to commit to somebody.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the Achilles, I probably wasn't questioning as much because he's not a very mobile quarterback. He's never been that mobile of a quarterback.
It's still one of those that it's still an injury that you still have to be mobile.
Oh, absolutely. Back. I was just saying I wasn't really that concerned with it. If it was a shoulder, I'd be more concerned for Cousins because he's kind of known for his arm. But he's a veteran presence in a young locker room. Like they have young players, and and they also didn't tell him that they were drafting Penix.
Yeah, which I thought was fucked.
They didn't tell him that they were doing that, which was another red flag.
Definitely when you're sitting at 8, and if I remember right, Chicago drafted at 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
And took Rome.
Correct.
Rome would have been great on that.
I think
an Atlanta team.
London, Odunze, and Mooney as your wide receiver core with Kirk Cousins, and then go get a quarterback next year. Have him sit, and then you have 2 years of Cousins. Probably has some cap. You could probably cut him and cut a deal to where you're saving money if you really, really like your rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback at that point. That probably would have been the smart thing to do. And that's our opinion, but I think I'm not saying Michael Penix is going to be bad, but I can't be for sure that he's going to be the answer. And maybe they're trying to find out sooner rather than later. Because if they find out now and they still have Kirk, then cool. Then we're just going to let Penix be the backup to Kirk till his contract runs out, and then we'll draft another quarterback in a year or two.
I don't know. Like it's
just a waste of an eighth overall pick.
Absolutely, definitely. When you had a great because you look at Onadoze right now, for where he's at, what he's done. I'm not mad about it. Definitely with what was it? I saw a stat today. Williams is the 3rd sacked most rookie quarterback behind David Carr and Bryce.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a good chance that he's going to beat Young's. I don't know if anybody will ever get sacked as much as David Carr did.
Did he have like 74 sacks or something?
75.
I was close. That's insane.
Like talk about just getting the absolute shit beat out of you.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, that's the news out of Atlanta. Michael Penix Jr. now the starter. We're going to shift over to baseball. We haven't done baseball yet. It's still off season. It was off season when we started, so we haven't really talked about baseball. But Not so much breaking news, and a lot of people already know. Juan Soto going to the Mets, 15 years, $750 million.
What, it's 765?
Was it 765?
I thought it was. I didn't think it was a flat 750.
765. Yeah, you're right. 765 million. My bad. That is just wild. I want to pull up the breakdown of that, but while I'm doing that,
I think
the Mets finally getting a absolute superstar. Or, they haven't really had. They've been good. They've had superstars. They have Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, guys like that, but they haven't had that. I feel like over the top guy. And I think Juan Soto does kind of give that.
I think my thought with this Juan Soto deal is this is, I think, the first time we've seen a guy at 26 hit the market.
Right. He came into the league in baseball. You have to have 60 years of major league service. He came into the league at 19. So yeah, this is very comparable to A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez. He hit free agency at the same age, and he got an absolute bag from the Texas Rangers. Eventually, he was traded to the Yankees, as all of us know. But he has. This contract runs out at 40. Usually, when you're seeing these kind of contracts, like what was it, Harper's? Harper, how old was Harper when he signed his contract?
It had been 28 to 30.
Yeah, something like that. But like Ohtani, he was 29, about to turn 30 when he signed this large contract that he's on.
And as we bring up Ohtani, because that's probably the closest thing you're going to see to a contract that's similar to this. And we had this conversation this past weekend. The Dodgers and why they offered that, I think, is intelligent. You're getting an international star, and with giving him that kind of money, you're getting an entire fan base from a country that really doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to MLB. Outside of watching particular guys, because they're Japanese.
Japan and baseball is huge.
Japan and baseball is huge, but it's one of those that, like, when you translate that over to the U.S., like, you're watching particular guys like Ohtani.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I think with signing that deal last year, the Dodgers did with Ohtani, I think it was intelligent. Even if you look at it with the deferred money, which I think is still crazy, I think they still win that deal, even if you wait to pay him down the road. If I saw that number, I saw a number earlier because I think I was listening to a podcast or something like that. Just in revenue off of what the Dodgers got from Ohtani from Japan, it's like $121 million.
Yeah.
Which you look at it and you're like, you know what? Over the next 7 years, as long as he stays healthy and you don't have any issues, you know what? We don't have anything to worry about that contract.
Yeah.
It's also one of those, I think, for the next 5 years, you probably look at them and you'll go, you know what? They're our World Series favorites.
Yeah, of course. And especially with Ohtani coming back pitching.
Well, he's coming back that, and just even some of the people they've added this year.
Mm-hmm. They re-signed Tommy Edman.
They signed Snell.
Yeah, Blake Snell added to that already stacked rotation. Going back to Bryce Harper, he also signed at 26, his 13-year contract.
When he moved to
Philly.
Okay.
From Washington. He signed a 13 years, $330 million.
I thought he was older.
I thought he was too. But I know he also broke into the national system. Both of those guys obviously coming from the Nationals at early
both of us
ages.
Being from Texas, it'll be interesting to see, because you've got two guys on that roster, that Texas roster, that you could have the same thing happen to at 26, 27.
So their service will run out. So they got it. My guess is Carter probably has a year of service, but Wyatt definitely does. They would get theirs around 28.
Wyatt, I think Wyatt's a little older. Carter's a little younger than
Wyatt.
That's
what I said. They'll be in that like 27, 28. Not too
like
far
20.
off.
I think they're like 21, 22 right now.
I thought something. Yeah, it's something like that. I'm just saying it's somewhere around that area. They'll be before 30 for sure. And they could get a 10-year contract and be Hopefully, lifetime Rangers. If I'm being,
So Wyatt right now is 23.
Okay, so so he'll be about
So
28.
29, depending on where you look at it. Carter's a little younger than he is, so 27, 28. I think it's an anomaly just because you don't tend to see those guys hit the market like that as often.
You don't. I think you're going to start because these guys are flying through the majors now, which I love to see. I'm a big prospect guy, so I love seeing these guys getting their chance in the majors and making an impact right away, and then they become superstars pretty much immediately. Guys like Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, those guys.
That'll be another interesting one here in 6 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like you just don't look at Pittsburgh as being a big market.
It's not, but I was just there last week. That stadium, even in the snow, beautiful. I cannot wait. If I have to go back there during baseball season, I'm going to that stadium 100%.
No, absolutely. You wonder with who he's dating if that's a big enough market.
I mean, at this point, given the way marketing goes, if they were to stay as a couple, I don't think they're going to worry about money. I think they're going to make just as much money.
No, I don't disagree, but like being in Pittsburgh, what does that do for her? Which at the end of the day, a man is going to like as much as you're going to look at. Because I'm sorry, he's not going to be the fucking breadwinner.
You never know. He could be.
Could be, but her marketability is 15 times higher than his.
Right now, I mean, he could be the next best pitcher in baseball.
Could be where he could fucking tear his. He can have Tommy John surgery at the
let's knock on a little wood there. We don't want to see that.
No, I mean, I don't
watch.
I don't want it to happen. I'm just saying, like it's one of those that like. I'm sorry, like pitchers are one of those. I mean, look at Ohtani. Like he's had 2 surgeries since he came over.
Yeah, he had Tommy John surgery the off season that he was in free agency, and then he just had surgery again to fix a partially torn labrum. But so it's one of those, he'll be ready for spring training, no problem, pitching wise.
So it's just one of those that like you wonder if that's a big enough market for him. And then we're talking 5 years from now because there's not many times when a guy's drafted that he's right into the league.
Yeah, I mean the Pirates have been in this situation before. Garrett Cole, number 1 overall pick, pitched in Pittsburgh, for 5.5 years. Was traded to the Astros, and now he's with the Yankees. Like that's kind of what happens in baseball. But the Pirates have to build something around him. If not, they're going to do the same thing over and over again.
Yep. You've got to have a winning culture,
which is what the smaller market teams do.
No, absolutely.
They draft, they develop, and then they trade for more prospects to draft and develop. That's like the teams with the small payrolls. That's what they do.
I mean, look at Moneyball Athletics.
Still one of my favorite stories in sports. I love.
No, absolutely. I mean,
the analytics for that is. It's
great. For the tism brains we have, like it's right there.
Absolutely. But before we move on to the next one, Juan Soto, what are your thoughts? We didn't really talk about it much.
I like it. He's young. I'm worried just with how much he's moved. Is he a prima donna? What kind of attitude are we getting in the locker room?
Well, yeah. Right, but he's also accustomed to New York. He's accustomed to that market already.
And I think being in New York is one of those. He spent a year. He spent this last year on the Yankees across town. My problem with this is that you're on your 14 now, and you've only been here 6 years.
Yeah, but that wasn't really his doing though. If you think about it, because he was traded from the Nationals were not good. They were out of their window. They got an absolute haul back from the Padres. The Padres had him for 1 year or for that half year. And then they had a really down year just as a team and tried to get as much back out as they could because they probably weren't going to be able to re-sign him. So they moved.
No, I said, and I get it.
It didn't have anything to do with Soto's personality.
That's a lot of movement for a young guy that you just signed to a 15-year, $765 million.
It is, but you're also getting arguably the best hitter in baseball.
No, absolutely. And I think over the next 5 to 8 years, we'll see kind of how that plays because I'm sure there's some stipulations in that contract that give the Mets some outs.
There actually is an opt out, but I think it's player based. It doesn't say if it's player based or not, but there is an opt out after 2030.
So when you look at the breakdown on that contract right now, next 2 years he's 46.8 million a year. 27 he's 42.5. 28 and 29 he's 46.8, and then from 2030 to 2038 he's making $46 million a year. And that's the thing with how we're seeing contracts increase. It could be here in the next 2 or 3 years with how that is. Like it may look like a steal.
I mean, we're creeping closer and closer to the first $1 billion contract in sports, and it will likely come from either soccer or baseball. My guess would be baseball, but I don't. I mean, you got it's. I don't know if there's a player right now that I could say would have a contract anywhere near either Ohtani's or Soto's. I think those are the two top guys in baseball. And
I think for two different reasons.
Yeah.
You have, and I don't get me wrong, and this is not to take anything away from Ohtani. He's a phenomenal pitcher. He's an amazing hitter. It's just, if I'm the Dodgers, I liked what the Dodgers did in that situation, signing him to that, because you get a particular fan base that I'm sure if either of us went over to Japan right now, you'd walk through, and I bet the amount of Dodgers jerseys you'd see just walking around would be absurd.
Absolutely. I mean, that's they were doing that when he was on the Angels.
Yep.
Like I remember when he was playing for the Angels, we'd watch Rangers games and you'd see in the background Japanese ads because they televised all of Ohtani's games.
Yep.
And now the Dodgers do that, and they make a shit ton of money. Like It's so worth it for them. But I do want to ask you, the deferrable money, where they're only paying about $2 million a year for like 20 years, and then like after the next 20 or
so there's an interesting stat on that. So his deferred money will start hitting the year that Bobby Bonilla's ends.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
So you're gonna go from literally Bobby Bonilla Day to Shohei Ohtani
Day. Yep. It's gonna be a lot more money than what Bonilla is getting every July 1st. But do you think the next CBA, the MLB, will come out and be like, hey, you can only defer so much of a contract?
Well, I don't think so. I don't think it's
just for like. I mean, and
I don't think it's
baseball doesn't have a cap.
But I don't think it's something that is used so much that it's one of those that it needs to have a filter per se. Mm-hmm. It's one of those that I think every team, definitely your big market team, because that's the thing. Like if the Mets wanted, they could have sat there and talked to Soto and been like, hey, man, we want you to take this. Well, let's defer this money so that we were able to add more talent around you. I think it's something that it's something you can do. It's something that works. The Dodgers are just benefiting from it. They're betting on themselves that within this time for the next, let's say, 10 years, you're going to make so much money. You're going to be able to invest it in whatever the hell you want to invest it in, that you're not worried about the money that you're going to spend on the back end.
Yeah.
I think that's where you look at, because there was deferred money in Snell's.
Yeah.
So it's one of those that, like, you really don't see it. Like, if this was something across the board through big teams, I think we'd have a bigger issue. But it's not. Like, you're only seeing a select few teams use it. So right. I don't think on the next CBA you're going to see anything where there's this big issue about it. I think if anything this changes, it's that you're going to see some of these larger market teams start kind of like pondering on, well, do we start kind of throwing some deferred money here?
Right. Do we bet the house?
Right. Like, do you bet on yourself?
Yeah. I mean,
and if anything that Ohtani contract did was they bet on the house and going, hey, we're going to add this guy. We think he's going to be able to come in, be the difference maker on this, and be able to like push us over the edge to get us a World Series, and it won.
Right. No, But all in all, I think Soto landing with the Mets is great for. I mean, it's another big market for him, and
Another big market. It's one of those. I think when we finished the season and the Yankees lost, I think everybody literally grabbed a quarter and went like this and was like, "He's going here or he's going here."
mm-hmm.
Which New York market wants to pay it?
Yeah, I mean, there was talk that he was going to end up with the Dodgers as well. So
that would have been interesting.
That would have been nuts. Juan Soto and Ohtani in the same lineup, not even including Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, guys like that. Like, what? It would have been insane. Then I've been like, dude, what are we doing? Like, just give him the title.
Right. I mean, even starting last season, I think a lot of people looked at that team and was like, well, it's the Dodgers to lose.
Yeah, and they just got better, like you said, adding Blake Snell to the rotation. It just got better, and it is what it is. But obviously, he goes to the Mets. The Yankees lose out on the outfielder. They end up making a move for Cody Bellinger today. The return, I believe, was a pitching prospect. Cody Poteet, I believe, is how you say it.
I will say this with the Cubs is, and I didn't think about it because we kind of briefly talked on this earlier, is I'm not surprised because the Cubs just made a trade for an outfielder.
Yes, they did just get Kyle Tucker from the Astros.
So it's one of those that like you're now getting a particular situation where like is your outfield getting a little too crowded? So it's one of those, can we trade somebody and get something back for it that we're missing on?
Mm-hmm.
So like I don't hate the trade. I also like
the Cubs also got cash, so that helps them out a lot too.
Right.
They got cash.
But I also hate the Yankees.
Well, yeah.
I think any team that's not the Yankees hates the Yankees just because of who the Yankees are.
Right. I mean,
I think it's a great fit. Did you like to backtrack a little bit? Did you see how after the Mets signed Soto, they sold two of their minor league teams?
I did see that they sold. I think they sold their AAA and one other one, but yeah,
I think it was a AA.
Was it AAA and AA they sold?
Yeah, I think they sold both. And it was one of those that you looked at it and you were like, well, you did just commit $765 million to somebody.
Oh, the Cubs sent money.
Oh, did they?
To the Yankees. So the Cubs also sent $5 million to the Yankees, and in return received Cody Poteet, who's just a right-handed pitcher. This was literally a cash up. This is I want to, for some reason, I have just like this weird feeling that he went to Texas Tech, and I could be totally wrong here. Let me look. He did not. He went to the University of California, so I wasn't even close. I'm probably thinking of someone else. But yeah, Cody Poteet, his career 1.3 WAR, 3.8 ERA,
which I think is crazy because of how old he is.
Yeah, he's 30, but this is a cash dump because Bellinger's set to make $27.5 million in 2025.
Year last year?
Huh?
Did he have a bad year last year?
I wouldn't say a bad year, but he had a breakout, I guess a re-breakout year the year before, and got like a 3-year deal from them, I believe.
So 2024, I mean, he hit 266. Year before, he was hitting 307.
Yeah, I mean, he won a National League MVP with the Dodgers. He kind of fell off for a while. It's not much of a contact, hit for average guy. So 266, I would say, is very, very good. And moving to Yankee Stadium, where left field is a joke, he could hit 40, 50 home runs, no problem. He can also play center field, left field, and first base. And the Yankees need all of those positions. So the versatility is nice as well. I think this is a tremendous get for the Yankees. I know we don't really root for the Yankees, but
no, and I mean, like that thing, he's still young too, though.
Yeah, he's
29.
Yeah,
he's still got, and like I said, I mean, you think he's at least probably good till 34, 35. I don't think you see him. I don't think you see him play outfield that long. I think it's one of those that, like, if you really like him and he's still hitting well, definitely in a friendly stadium like Yankee Stadium, you move him to first.
Yeah, and he'd be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he played first for the Dodgers, I think, his last year there, and then when he moved to Chicago, he was put out in center field back, and which where he played before when he won an MVP. Not really known for his defense, but he'll play center field for the Yankees. Aaron Judge will move back over to right
he's
field.
been in the league 8 years.
Yeah, I mean he's a veteran. He also signed a 3-year, $80 million contract last year. So he's got 2 years left on that.
I don't hate that. Like I said, that's not atrocious by any means.
No, and the thing for the Yankees is they have a placeholder.
Right. It's also
it's an expensive placeholder, but if he works out, then they're going to have to pay him, or he'll hit free agency again at 31.
I mean, over the last 2 years, he's had 290 hits.
Mm-hmm. He's played really well since he left the Dodgers.
I mean, first year with Cubs, he had 97 RBIs. Last year, he had 78 RBIs.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a down year comparatively.
I was to say he's been for the most part very like. His last year with the Dodgers, he had 150 strikeouts. Last 2 years with the Cubs, mind you, he played 14 less games a year. But I mean, he had 87 and 23 and 89 and 24.
Right.
I don't hate that.
No, it's a good. I think it's an absolute win for the Yankees, especially, and it's a win for the Cubs because they get to dump cash that they need to try and re-sign Kyle Tucker next year.
Right, and I think there's no reason that you make that trade if it's not where you look at it. I've got a few Astro friends that were not fucking happy about that trade.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was actually talking to a guy yesterday about the Astros. he was an Astros fan, and he was kind of like, yeah, we traded Kyle Tucker.
I think a lot of that Kyle Tucker trade comes into is that the Astros are putting themselves in a position to offer Bregman money, and they chose, I think, the less of two evils on this, and like, who do we want to lose, and what's gonna not piss off the fan base as much.
Well, I think Kyle Tucker was pretty much going to free agency because of the contract that the teams are giving out. Kyle Tucker's your next 12-year, several $100 million guy.
Yeah,
the guy,
$500 million.
I don't know if he's going to get $500 million.
No,
I think he'll get I think he can get like a little less than Harper.
Right, but it's still one of those that like you still give him. You're going to give him an atrocious amount of money.
Right, what the Astros don't have.
No, that it's put other places.
Other places do, yeah. I mean, you could look at
Kyle Tucker's stats last year: 289, 23 home runs, 49 RBIs. Was he injured?
He was hurt for quite a bit of it. What was his slash line? You said it was 289. What was his OBP?
I'm looking right now. 24 was 408.
400 on base percentage. That's what you're getting right there.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not looking at. He's not a home run guy. He's I'm going to place you either second in the order or fifth in the order, and you can hit a bomb or two. You know,
he's somebody you want on base just because he can get there. You've got somebody that's got a big bat behind him.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm trying to see how many games he played last season.
I mean, it'll. I mean,
yeah.
Baseball free agency is always.
There's the difference on that. He only played 78 games last season.
Yeah, so he played half a season.
Yeah. If you look at his 2023, he had 163 hits. 112 RBIs, 29 home runs, and 92 strikeouts. His OBP on that was 369.
Yeah, which is still a great number. Like, as a Ranger fan, I'm glad to see him go.
His worst season was his rookie season.
Which makes sense.
His OBP in his rookie was 236. So the only season that he hasn't had an increase was 2022. He had a small dip. He went from 359 to 330, and then in 23 bounced back up to 369.
Mm-hmm. You want to know what this guy's stat line? As a Rangers fan, I'm glad to see him go. Do you want me to read off his stat line career against the Rangers?
No, fuck that guy.
So this is in he played 68 games against the Rangers and had 276 plate appearances. He hit 14 home runs for 47 RBIs, struck out just 21 times, hit 313, 402, and a 533 slugging for a 936 OPS. And the last 2 years, OPS has been over 1,000.
That's insane.
The guy has, and yeah, the Rangers have been struggling since really he came to the league. But
yeah, outside of 1
as
year.
a Rangers fan, I'm kind of glad to see him go.
Right.
But I think Chicago's a good spot. I'd be interested to see, like they're gonna have to be a contender, and they can in that division. That division's not super strong, but if they're not contenders, you got to look to try and sell Kyle Tucker to somebody, to a contender. Because if you're not a contender, he's not going to re-sign, and you just gave away a prospect for nothing. Which happens all the time.
We're not talking about here that the Yankees picked up is one of the relief pitchers they got from the Brewers.
Devin Williams.
Yeah.
Yeah, another great. Again, the Yankees made great business there. I actually like the return that the Brewers got as well.
No, absolutely, but I mean, I don't hate him going to the Yankees as a relief pitcher.
Yeah, Devin Williams is probably one of the best.
He had 14 saves last year, a 1.25 ERA, 38 Ks with a .97 WHIP.
Yeah. The Yankees have really they had a really bad relationship with closers, I think, recently. I mean, what was his name? I know it was Clay Holmes, I think is what it is. Had a really, really poor postseason and kind of struggled all regular season. But to get a guy like Devin Williams,
you like it. Like it's one of those that like it's good. I mean, if you think about that with how we talk about Rangers baseball, I mean, it's somebody like Leclerc. Like
but better.
If you look at that like that World Series run they had, like I mean, Leclerc was phenomenal through that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's somebody you look at and like that's where it makes the difference on making a World Series run is like what do you look like in the back half of the game? Who do you have in the bullpen?
Yeah, I mean definitely.
Who's gonna bail you?
Inning.
Who's gonna bail you out of a shit situation?
Yep. Yeah. Once you have that set 7, 8, 9, like the Rangers did 2 years ago, where it was Leclerc. Spores was the 9th, wasn't he? Wasn't he the closer for the back half of the year?
No, Leclerc was for a lot of it. Spores didn't hit that 9 spot until like late into the playoffs.
Hey, I can't think of it right now, but they had a 7th, 8th guy trio that they would turn to.
It was Spores, Leclerc, and Chapman.
Oh, that's right. It was Chapman. I forgot. Aroldis Chapman was there. So yeah, he was the 8th inning guy. And it was either Leclerc or Spores.
Like thoughts on that one? Shit.
Well, he's going to Boston, and I think that's an overpay for Boston. But
I mean, Boston always overpays, though. Boston's always sitting there trying to chase the Yankees.
Well, as the rival, that's what you have to do. Yankees make a move. Yankees make a move. Boston's got to make a move. I don't know. I'm not. I like the Yankees better than I like the Red Sox. I'll be honest. I'm not a huge
I'm vice versa on that one.
I'm not a big Red Sox guy.
I like the Sox, but I like Ortiz.
Oh, I mean, there's some players that I like. Like, of course, you love Big Papi. I was a big Manny Ramirez fan. I thought he was the wackiest player. But yeah, I've never been my favorite player of all time is Derek Jeter, but that doesn't mean I'm a Yankees fan. I just really like Derek Jeter. But yeah, so I mean, there's still some big names available in free agency as well. We didn't even mention Max Fried with the Yankees. Signed an 8-year deal with them. Garrett Cole, he opted out of his deal, got a new deal with the Yankees. So like they're gonna have a pretty
I don't know how well I thought on that. Like Cole hasn't I don't think he's performed what everybody thought he would coming from the Astros to the Yankees. I mean, he's clearly done enough to warrant a new contract.
Well, I think this year he's going to have a full offseason. He missed the first 6 weeks this year with a shoulder thing, and I don't even know if he was fully healed when he came back. But this year he'll have a full offseason and should be good to go. So again, that 1-2 punch of Fried and Cole, very opposite pitchers. Like Cole, a power pitcher, Fried more of a finesse guy.
Right.
And that you have Rendon in that rotation as well. Hopefully he can bounce back. He strikes out.
So I will say, like, as we move out of baseball, because I think we want to kind of catch one other topic here. Rangers re-sign Eovaldi.
Yeah, I was surprised to see that.
I liked it. I've liked him the last couple of years we've had him. I think he's such a good presence in that locker room, man. He's one of those guys that's always got a smile, even if he just got the absolute shit beat out of him.
Yeah. I think if you're going to spend a little bit of money, you can spend it on Eovaldi. I think like you said, he's been really good with the Rangers. He's been consistent, which is what the Rangers have lacked pretty much the last decade, minus the World Series run.
Right.
And if we can get that offense going back again, like we did 2 years ago, then we're back in business. And the pitching,
and I think the Rangers last season had some of those injuries were just fucking.
I think they were one of the most injured teams in the major leagues.
Right. Within the first, I think 20 games, they lost Jung.
Yeah, that was yeah, and I think it was less than that, but either way, Young started out real hot and didn't come back until I think August.
Sounds right.
Sure.
And I think the Rangers bet on themselves, hoping that offense would carry them into the back half of the season, or where they get some of those pitchers that were hurt. You had Scherzer hurt, you had DeGrom hurt. They signed a free agent last year. I can't think of what his name was.
They have Malley and Malley was the free agent they signed that was injured.
I think so.
Yeah, it was Malley, DeGrom, and Scherzer all started the year with long-term injuries and didn't get those guys back. They didn't start getting those guys back until early July.
I would say late July.
I think Malley was early July, like right after the All-Star break, and same with DeGrom.
Yeah.
They came back roughly around the same time. But Scherzer, he didn't pitch as much because he got hurt again, which kind of sucks. But I think he was on like $20 million something.
Yeah. And
I know the Rangers weren't looking to spend a ton of money because of that luxury tax. But
I think you're going to start seeing a lot of teams like that just don't want to hit that luxury tax.
Yeah. Well, the Rangers need to get better about developing pitchers, because I don't know what they're doing now, but it's not, other than Kumar Rocker as of right now.
And Rocker's been shaky at best.
Rocker's the Rangers' #1 prospect, according to Baseball.
I don't disagree that he is.
I think he looked fine at the back half of the year, to where he warrants that, because he wasn't. I think he was like 11th or something a year ago, and he shot up to 1.
He wasn't bad. It's just the Rangers got to do something when we're talking about pitch.
Yeah, I just want to look at this real quick, and then we can call it. Yeah, Kumar Rocker's number. Oh wait, is he number 2? They still have Sebastian Walcott. Of course, I forgot about Walcott. He's. I saw a lineup prediction from like 2028 that he was playing right field.
Interesting.
Which is odd because he's listed as a shortstop, third baseman. I think he probably projects as more of an outfielder, like a corner outfielder. But yeah, it's Rocker, Alejandro Rosario, Jack Leiter's still, and our first round pick this year.
And I would say Leiter's another one of those ones that, like, man, in the minors, he's looked phenomenal.
AAA pitcher of the year for the.
And that's the thing. Like, you don't get that without being good.
Yeah.
So I don't know where the disconnect between that and the big leagues is.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the nerves or what it is. Like, I'm sorry, you know how to pitch.
Yeah. I've been a huge, since they drafted, I was watching Leiter when he was at Vandy a few years ago, and I was like, this guy's gonna be good. Like, I was wherever he was going, they were gonna get a fucking absolute ace pitcher. Do I think he's an ace pitcher now? No. I think he's probably back half rotation guy. But he's still I still think he can be a good.
He's still young though. I think he's
24.
Yeah, 24, 25.
There was a lot put on him. He was drafted, immediately sent to Double-A. A lot of those guys don't do that. They start out at Single-A and work their way up. They put him in Double-A, and I think it kind of bit the Rangers in the ass a bit.
Right, and it's one of those that I think the Rangers as a whole just need to be a little bit smarter with how they're developing players.
Which is what they've been doing. There was a bit of a struggle with, man, is he really off this board now? Where am I? Who's the guy I'm thinking of? Brock Porter. He's now their 30th ranked prospect. He's still in rookie ball. Did not have a great year last year, so hopefully we can see a bounce back there.
Before we end this, just because I know this is kind of the last topic we wanted, let's touch a little bit on that NBA Cup championship right now and how the Thunder are down by like 17 in the fourth. You're talking against a Bucks team that is 14-11 against a 20-5 Thunder team, and they're going to lose to them.
So I haven't really been following basketball. I'll be honest.
Oh, dude,
what I have heard is SGA is on a tear.
Yeah, he is, but it's just like they're down right now. It's 94-77 with 2:42 left in the fourth.
I mean, someday you're hitting your shot, someday you're not.
That is the perfect. Thank you for saying that. SGA is 8 for 24, 2 for 9, 3 points.
That's crazy because I didn't even bet on him tonight. So I don't know why he's doing so bad. And he only does bad when I bet on him.
Right, and you look at Giannis right now, 10 for 18, 18 rebounds, 9 assists for 26 points.
Yeah, he'll end up with a triple-double.
Right. I don't – you think he would unless, like I said, unless you're comfortable with 242 with the 17-point lead.
Yeah.
But 18 rebounds? That's crazy.
I mean, it's easy to get 18 rebounds when you're 7'1" and have the wingspan of a large bus.
But it's also, I think Bucks are starting to look good. But I just I was sitting here kind of scrolling through ESPN and saw it, and I was like, man, that is not how I thought that game was going to turn out. I thought Thunder would have absolutely waxed Bucks.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, let me see. Let me see what so Milwaukee was plus 181. What was the spread? Curious what the spread was.
Yeah, Milwaukee went on a 14-point run.
Oklahoma City was 5.5-point favorites.
Right. So you look at 1 point, it was. Trying to see where it really took off. So you had a close game. It was like a 4-point game at the beginning of the third. It was 57-53 Milwaukee. At half it was 51 it was 51-50 Milwaukee.
So it was a tight game.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, Milwaukee just decided to play defense.
So at 1 point it was 72-64 Milwaukee, and then they put on they jumped that by 12, 15 points. They just a good run.
Yeah.
But like I said, sport podcast guys, like I said, we like to do that, and as we see stuff like that, just be able to throw it in there on a random whim. But that's not how I thought that game was going to play out. Definitely with Oklahoma City being a 5.5-point favorite, and they are now currently down by 20.
No. Next time we're gonna have to work hockey into it at some point because we're trying to get, we're big hockey fans.
Right? No, absolutely.
We haven't had enough time to really talk about it.
I was gonna say we need to catch a Stars game soon.
Yeah, the Stars won last night against the Caps, 3-1. That was a good win. But yeah, maybe we'll try to work in some hockey. If not in the next one here pretty soon. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's episode. I appreciate you guys listening in. Follow us on TikTok. We're at the G42 podcast. That's the best name I could get. So G42 on TikTok.
I will say that as you go to look it up, man, all you really have to do is put G4 and it comes up.
Yeah.
So that is nice at least.
Yeah. So and leave comments on those. I try to post some clips from these podcasts and leave your comments. We want to hear from you guys. But I appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode.